Welcome to another episode of the Branching Out podcast. Today we are joined by Killian Sweeney, one of our HSQE managers, working specifically in Ireland. So let's just get started. Welcome, Killian. Thank you for joining us today.
Good morning, Jess. How are you?
I'm good, thank you. Obviously, we've worked together a bit lately on the training matrix and everything, but for those that are listening who might have not spoken to you or worked with you yet, could you please introduce yourself a bit? Obviously, I've said what your role is and where you're working, but could you give us a little bit more about what you're doing at Ground Control?
Yeah, so I'm Killian, Health HSQE Manager for Ireland.
Yep.
A lot of my role to date has been, kind of adapting Ground Control's existing policies, procedures and training frameworks to kind of fit from the UK market into the Irish context.
Yes.
There's a lot of similarities, but it's not just a copy and paste job,
No.
There's different frameworks, different legal legislations and whatnot. So while there is a lot of overlap, there is also some key differences that we kind of have to be aware of from a health and safety perspective, but also kind of it extends way beyond that, to HR, legal frameworks, accounts, training and education. So a lot of what I've been doing is kind of trying to adapt what we have in the UK to fit what we have here in Ireland.
Yeah, it's been a marathon, not a race, I think, which it kind of has to be when you're setting up a business in a different country and it's a completely different market. The EU has their own rules that we do no longer necessarily follow in their entirety in the UK. So yeah, it's definitely, I've worked with you a bit on this, and it's been a process. It's been insightful. I guess for you working, have you done this before where you've worked with a business that is based in another country, or like how does that, has that been a different experience for you trying to kind of convert a UK business to an Irish business?
I suppose in my previous role, I kind of would have built a management system.
Yeah.
So I would have put all these policies and procedures in place.
Okay.
So I was familiar with that, but I'd never adapted something else to fit the context. And with Ground Control being so diverse in the services that we provide, there was completely new areas for me that I'd never experienced before. So kind of having to understand what we do in the UK first, and then making sure that we're still meeting them same standards while also being compliant with Irish laws and legislation. So it's been a steep learning curve, but it's been fun.
Yes, we all have been learning along the way. So, as far as like what Ireland does, I don't know how much people understand what like the type of work that you cover. So could you give us a little bit more of an idea of, obviously you're looking after health and safety, what kind of areas of health and safety are you looking after in Ireland?
So I suppose from what we're doing on the ground is, we've got ESB is our DNO provider over here in Ireland. And the utility arboriculture associated with that was kind of the starting point for Ground Control in Ireland. And from that, once we're set up, we're kind of developing into the grounds maintenance. We're doing a lot of work towards winter contracts now, potholes, fencing. So it's kind of, we're in a massively ambitious growth phase.
Yes.
So there's a lot of moving parts. It's coming thick and fast. For me on the ground, I suppose in line with the rest of the HSQE managers, it's you're being a presence for safety.
Yes.
It's not just about ticking boxes.
No.
It's a constant kind of, not battle, but you're constantly working with so many different people with so many different ideas. So many different ways of doing things. Everybody's been trained slightly different. So we're trying to make sure that we're all following the same framework to make sure everybody goes to work and comes home safe.
It's that safe behavior kind of piece. I think I was talking to Emma Hopes earlier in the year and kind of talking about how as a business, because we are so diverse and we're doing lots of different things, it's having that consistent safe behaviors that we want to see everyone kind of matching and following so that everyone does go home safe at the end of the day. And I can imagine there is that added hurdle of converting that to Ireland and obviously building the business as fast as we are. It's trying to maintain that consistency, like you said.
Yeah.
Has there been any memorable moments so far in your in your experience or challenge that you'd like to share?
I suppose that the mobilization of Ireland is the challenge.
Yeah, it is.
It's quite an ambitious growth we've planned, and we're kind of, hurdles are popping up regularly, and we're kind of having to move quickly to deal with them. Things that might work in the UK that we might have assumed will work here haven't.
Yeah.
So they need to be adapted on the fly for them to work. There's a lot of systems and services from an operational point of view that work in the UK that clients use different services here. So we've had to kind of adapt and learn client systems where we would have used our own internal systems previously in the UK. So it's kind of, there's learning curves and there's challenges popping up all over the place, but we're kind of quite agile in dealing with them.
How are you? I guess, I don't know if you can give me this insight, but I mean, adaptability is always a key skill that you need in business in general. How are you maintaining your adaptability, I guess?
It's just constantly relearning.
Yeah, being open to that learning.
Yeah, like being able to understand that I don't know everything.
Yeah.
And nobody knows everything.
No, that's something you learn with age, is no one actually knows everything. You just
So
you gotta be open to learning.
Yeah, you have to keep your mind open, because what you think is right might not be right, or what you think is right someone else might think is wrong. So you're obviously gonna have those kind of interpersonal kind of clashes.
Yeah.
But on the wider scale, there is a right way to do things, and we're just constantly picking up what they are.
Yeah, and that's probably going to be the way for a while longer as we continue to grow like we are in Ireland. Would you say there's any? Obviously, there has been, I think, very kind of hinted to some misconceptions on what can actually be applied in the UK to Ireland. Are there any kind of things that we haven't talked about, misconceptions or stereotypes that you would like to debunk from an Ireland standpoint?
I think the ground control model is something that's very new to Ireland. So it hasn't just been this is the field team model that we use in the UK. We're just going to do it in Ireland. So it's something that is very new to Ireland. That whole idea. And it's trying to get field teams on board, and to get them kind of in line with following our systems, following our processes. So that's kind of been, I suppose, it's a misconception that we can just do this over there. It takes a little bit more nurturing.
I think that is something across the business, like, though you can almost apply in that you do. I mean, the field teams that are doing the work on the site as managers, people that are managing these teams, or like you guys in health and safety that are ensuring the safety of these teams, is maintaining that communication and developing those relationships, because it only is going to come with developing those relationships and trust that we're all going to be able to, make it work and do the best job we can for our clients. So that takes time as well. It's a marathon, like we said. Is there anything you would like to kind of share that is coming up on your area of work that you would like to mention or are excited about that would be good for the business to know?
Yeah, I suppose my focus really, as I said earlier, was kind of developing UK systems into Ireland and working on the utilities end of things. Now that maintenance has moved kind of from the under utilities division over to the maintenance division, there's a lot of movement now. a lot of support from the UK side, that's going to grow the maintenance over here very quickly.
Yeah.
So it's about kind of, for me, it's going to be about being able to allocate my time more effectively to kind of support both sides.
Yeah, that's the thing.
Yeah. So there's along with that growth, there's going to be a lot of mobilizations, a lot of new contracts, which would take a lot of input from me as well.
Yeah.
So it's about being able to make sure utilities are still running as it's set up, while also trying to remobilize and grow on the maintenance side. So that's going to be a challenge, but an exciting one.
Yeah, no, that is, because like you said, it's all kind of new as well, that like this isn't necessarily the area that you worked in before you joined ground control. So it's it's always nice to learn something new. I know some people like to get stuck in their area and their kind of way of working, but it's quite nice. And I mean, I enjoy learning new things. So but yeah, no, I don't completely envy you, but we're always here in learning and development to support you along the way. So by all means, I look forward to seeing how the next year kind of comes on for you guys in Ireland, and this, like you said, this new split I think is a good, hopefully operationally, and that will help kind of you split your time better as well, be a bit more easy to be like, right, now's maintenance time, now's utility time. So
yeah.
Well, like I said, we are learning development, so I guess you are very busy. Do you find any time to work on your own personal development or learning, or is it, I mean, you are learning all the time anyway, but is there anything that you are doing to work on your personal development?
I suppose time-wise, it's just not there.
Yeah.
To put it aside. Now, saying that, because it's a new industry for me, it's a consistent learning curve.
Yeah.
Which I've really enjoyed. I done a master's in health and safety management 2 years ago.
Okay. So you're fresh. You're still
so
fresh.
I'm fresh off the back of that. Which you know what? Like, it wasn't actually too bad to manage. It was part-time while I was still working. So because it was something that I wanted to do, it was a lot easier than back in university days when you're still essentially a child.
Yeah. Yeah, when that's all you're doing is learning. I did a degree and worked at the same time, and that having that balance. But then it also, I think anyone doing like GC Grow, like where you're doing learning and working at the same time, is quite good, because you are doing that learning, but you're immediately applying that to your role, which is always helps keep it like stuck in your head as well. So obviously, I mean, like we said, things are a little bit different for where you work in your area. Is there any tips or advice that you would give anyone looking to develop their skills or learning in your area?
Just to keep an open mind. So from what I would have previously learned from, let's say, a health and safety point of view in a single industry, when you change industries, attitudes are very different.
Yeah.
So my previous industry would have been construction, where there's a very strong attitude towards health and safety, we'll just call it that.
Yep.
And because I'm now working with such a high risk industry in utilities, the openness towards health and safety is a lot better, because people understand the risks, and things do happen day to day. But the problem is when things do go wrong, because you're in a tree with a chainsaw, the severity of something is quite high.
Yeah, it's having that appreciation that you're in a high risk situation, and there's a bit more, that safe behavior is a bit like there's a stronger belief in that, and as being very aware of your surroundings and kind of constantly practicing the daily risks assessment, I think are also, like, when I've been to site to experience people working on site, it's that daily risk assessment is almost a nice like learning experience for everyone and making sure that we are, because it's always new situation in utility arb. You're not on the same site every day. So yeah, no, I think that's really good. So obviously I'm conscious of time. I don't want to take up too much of your time. Before we let you go, is there any kind of lessons you've learned at your time, with the time that you have had at ground control, that you would like to share with, or you think people would be good to know, that might be working with Ireland soon, or working in utility or grounds maintenance, as far as your areas of the world and ground control?
Yeah, I suppose one kind of big focus that is much heavier in the UK is the kind of that safety and health and safety, they're not two separate things.
Yeah.
You know, it's a combined approach for both the kind of the safety on the day and the health sustainability into the future. You know, like the likes of the hand-arm vibration, fatigue, all that kind of stuff is kind of, it's slowly catching on here in Ireland, but it's a much stronger over in the UK, and trying to be proactive here in applying those things before they become kind of front and center, kind of as part of the industry. If we can kind of lead from the front with the kind of health surveillance and that kind of health-based approach, I think we'd put ourselves in a really good position.
Yeah, I think because when you, like, if somebody's listening and doesn't understand what hand-arm vibration is, it's to do with how much time you're spending using machines that obviously produce a vibration and what effect that can have on your health. Where, like, if you're not fully aware of that coming into the industry new, like that is a very common risk that pretty much everyone experiences in this business. But it's that awareness, and then thinking, right, how can I change my behavior, the way I work, to protect myself away from that risk. But yeah, it feels common sense once you actually learn about it, but it's getting those lessons out, like you said, and getting ahead of that kind of curve, so that you're, like, it's almost instilling that safe behavior across, you know, the business, really.
Yeah, like it's those them long-term exposure risks, as opposed to what you can see in front of you on the day. It's hard. It's hard to kind of get that message through when there's no immediate effect. You know, and with all the health stuff of the health and safety, it is all long-term exposure. You know, and trying to get that across when it's not an immediate risk is a challenge.
And I think it's kind of on, obviously you guys in health and safety are talking to teams about this, and it's making sure that managers are also aware, and they are talking to their teams about this as managing these teams, and making sure, you know, it's everyone's job to keep everyone safe. You know, that is the only way we're going to be successful. So, and also deliver great work to our clients.
Yeah.
Perfect. Right. Well, thank you so much for taking the time to talk with me today. Really appreciate it. Like I said, we'll be keeping an eye on you guys, and look forward to see what the next year brings.
Great stuff. Thank you very much, Jess.
Thank you.
Thank you again for listening to this episode of the Branching Out podcast. If you have any projects that you are working on, challenges that you've overcome, or stories to share, please reach out to us in training. We love to share that bit of knowledge or experience with the rest of the business. And until next time, take care.